You remember back when we were talking about AI, artificial intelligence?
No.
Don't. Am I talking to an AI right now?
Yeah, no, I do remember that. This year, as we're sitting here recording it, it's been the year of AI. That's the thing everybody talks about.
Question.
Okay.
I know you've been experimenting with...
Please finish the sentence quickly.
You've been experimenting with these AI editing methods and stuff like that to use your back catalog. And I know that's getting a little bit into your inner workflow and stuff like that, because I understand why you're doing it. I just wondered if you were comfortable talking about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. It's like everybody. I think I'm curious about whether there are ways to integrate AI technology into things that I'm already doing. And I want to know, would it make it better or would it make it worse? Things that I've already eliminated. It doesn't make the writing better. Not at all. I actually did a video where I...
Well, can I set the stage a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
So we both do this podcast together.
Yep.
We each have independent YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm.
We're fathers and husbands, and you have the ultimate podcast, I think, is the 10-Minute Bible Hour. That's far more successful, I would say, than No Dumb Questions, like your podcast alone. That's the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, correct?
Yeah.
And you did this thing where you went through all the books of the Bible, and you did this other thing where you're going through a book of the Bible, like you went through Matthew, then you did the books of the Bible, and now you're going through Esther.
Mm-hmm.
What episode number are you up to now? I guess you don't want to date this episode. Hundreds of episodes.
No, I hit 1,000 this week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of talking.
You're not wrong. It is a lot.
It's a daily, right?
Yeah, we haven't missed a day. The goal was every weekday morning, have a new one ready to go, and 4 years. Coming up right on 4 years.
That's crazy.
That's fun. Yeah.
That's nuts. And that's like navigating around things that are outside of your control, like your voice working. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Which is why I have programmed this AI using a learning model based on the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast right now. Would you like me to play some of it for you?
Oh, that'd be spectacular. Thank you.
All right, listen to this.
Herpes aren't the worst experience of my life. It's probably the double herpes that I would say is the worst experience of my life. Also, make sure to read your Bible.
React to that. What do you think about what I just did?
I'm very disappointed. I would never say something like that.
Sounded just like you, didn't it?
Yeah, it sounded a lot like me.
Listen to this. Hold on, let me, and this one.
If I were stranded on a desert island with Hitler and 4 monkeys, and I had a submarine that could only take the 4 monkeys off of the island, but if so, I'd have to eat Hitler, I wish I wasn't on that island.
React to that one. What did you think?
I think those AI learning models, they degrade over time. They make less sense. That one wasn't as good.
But I mean, you've given me so much data. Hold on. I'm going to just throw one out there. I'm going to just have it make the most offensive arrangement of words I can. Listen to this and go. What do you think about that one?
Well, I mean, it was just all the swears in order. I don't think I literally have ever heard a swear that wasn't in that list.
How long do you think it took me to train that model in order to use your voice like that?
A year, 2 years?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't. I just got you to play along and just say things into a microphone. No, but you're using AI to do what? Well, at least you're testing it, right? Or is it even AI?
Testing, if it's even AI. And is any of the AI we're using really even AI? It's all just modeling at this point. I don't think it is Skynet at this point, is my understanding, right? We're repurposing existing material and reformatting it based on pattern recognition, but I don't think we're doing like thought. I don't think it's true artificial intelligence. It's sort of a workflow optimization technology at this point.
But you're the first of, Twitter or whatever you call that platform now is just rife with all kinds of threads about, I use this language model to monetize my whatever. And if you're not doing this, you're not, I don't know, man, these influencers today.
Yeah.
But what are you actually trying to do? You're taking your existing back catalog of the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, and you are trying to do what with it?
All I'm looking for is help with editing. So I'm not actually trying to use an AI editor. but I'm okay with working with a remote editor who does use AI to crawl a bunch of different stock footage services and grab things that might work and give me ideas to brainstorm and to get things going for sort of, I guess like a video essay kind of format. You've seen those on YouTube where you don't see the person's face. They put together a little video essay and then they cover it with stock footage and relevant images that get the point across.
Yeah.
Even though really it was a podcast.
Yeah, what's interesting is you've got a person talking, and then every 4 to 5 seconds, or I don't know, maybe it's even lower than that, 3 to 6 or whatever, you have an image change. And I think it's interesting because the visual part of your brain is so powerful that you look at these images and you associate it with what the person is saying. But it's almost like someone listens to the podcast, and if you say cake, they would just go to some stock footage site and they would look up cake.
Yes.
And then like 5 images of cake come up and they pick the one that they want to go in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so figuring out, what role AI could play in the first pass or in collecting a bunch of good options for stock images or footage, that's not really the goal. The goal is I made a series of podcasts. The Through the Books of the Bible stuff is 8 to 13 minutes a pop. And it's just, I think, a really, I hope, helpful introduction and survey, a covering of the themes and all of that in a playful, fun way of each book of the Bible. So what I want to do is put that on the YouTube channel, but I want something to be happening visually that adds more value to that. Charts, facts, figures, maps, classical art, pictures of artifacts and relics and ruins and things like that, just so people can see and feel and connect with the Bible a little bit more and have that kind of support and bolster the words I'm saying with stuff going on the screen, right? Pretty simple. Text on screen, Bible verses, etc.
I bought a set of books a long time ago at a used bookstore. I think it was Matthew Henry's commentary.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Of the Bible. I have them in the other room.
Yeah.
And so you just pick any book in the Bible and you're like, oh, I'm in Judges chapter 5 or whatever. And you just go get Matthew Henry's commentary and you open it up and you get to see exactly what this person said about that book, which is interesting. Now, what I think is interesting in what you're doing is the modern format is video. Like the equivalent of a scroll today or the equivalent of a book today is video. I mean, podcasts are great, but ultimately the authoritative, I don't know, the thing you look for when you're trying to solve a problem is the video. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. You have an opportunity here to build videos of, I don't know, the Matthew Henry commentary of the Bible, but it would be the Matthew Whitman commentary of the Bible. And when we turn into dust, that potentially could live a few hundred years past us. So you're trying to brute force, I don't know if that's the way to say it, you're trying to optimize a way to turn these podcasts that you've set into a microphone into video.
Yes.
And you're trying to streamline that process, and people are employing modern artificial intelligence techniques in order to, I'm assuming, just write the words that you're saying, and then convert those spoken words into written words, and then those written words into images. Yes. That's what you're doing.
That's what I think is happening.
And you're investing into this. You're putting money into this.
I've hired a lot of people for an audition, and ultimately, I haven't found the right partner here. So I'm sort of back to square one, but back to square one having learned what isn't the answer. So I've gone to different editing companies. I've hired individual editors, and all good and talented people. I'm asking them for a weird project, but I'm just giving them an audio file that's 10 minutes long and saying, cover this and make it educationally effective. Clearly, some of the people I've hired just went out and ran that through a transcription program, then took the transcription and ran that through some sort of AI web crawler, just something that would go and search websites, and then did an auto-populate of whatever returns they got. And they were just like, here you go. This is an edit of your thing. Other people just clearly went and manually did the work and tried to understand the material a little bit more. Ultimately, nobody I worked with thinks in these categories enough. It's just not what they do. It's not their area of specialization, and it's fine. It's a weird niche. They just haven't been able to add enough value to the viewer for it to work. But the AI editing has been really interesting because it's just some word that I say that the AI fixates on. It's like, yeah, okay, well, here's a picture of that. So I'm talking about Abraham and Isaac, and there's a ram in the bushes, and it's a whole dramatic story with life and death stakes. And it's like, did somebody say Bush? Well, he was president of the United States from 2001 till 2009.
Really?
During that time, he fought against the, like, wait, what are we doing? Huh? What? And I mean, it's a little bit hyperbole, but kind of not. It's been that kind of thing where you can tell that AI is involved because it'll be pretty close on a couple of cuts. Like, oh yeah, well, sure enough, that is Israel. Mm-hmm. Now, it's modern Israel. I'm talking about the Old Testament, and you showed me a picture of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli flag and maybe an Israeli fighter jet. So that doesn't really work for an Old Testament survey video.
But it would be awesome if there were fighter jets in the Old Testament.
Maybe Ezekiel.
Yeah, the little cigar thing turning around.
Yes. So you can just see what happens. It doesn't understand the whole concept. It doesn't understand the theme or the motif or the feel of the video, which I think is art at all. So it's just like, you said word. This is picture of word. Picture of word you said. Behold, there it is. I serve you. I give you thing, master. And it's clunky and bad. But the other thing that's interesting is, okay, let me ask you this. When you edit, what is your timing philosophy? Like, you say something and then you make your next cut.
It's called CSAY.
Explain that, please.
Yeah, so CSAY is sometimes you want it depends on if I want to be ahead of the viewer or behind the viewer or right on time. So if I'm saying a word that's difficult, azimuth. Azimuth is a word that means an angular deflection. Like he rotated 15 degrees in azimuth. So you rotate right and you point the gun 15 degrees to the right, azimuth. Azimuth and elevation. Those are the measurement angles that you would take when you're, targeting something. So if I were to say azimuth, what I would do is
summon a demon, because that's what it sounds like you just did.
AZIMUTH.
Okay.
If I were to say, this is called the azimuth, I would put AZ on screen as the first part of the letter goes like as. So I'd break it up into syllables, as, and so AZ pops on the screen. Azimuth, and so the I would pop on the screen during that syllable, muth, and then MUTH. And so I would boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. It's like the bouncing ball, and then they would pop on screen, and then I would leave it on screen for just a few seconds to let the person digest that word, and then I would wait for my hands to move on the screen, and then I would, sometimes if I'm talking with my hands, and when I drop my hands, I would push the word down under the screen
mm-hmm.
with my hands,
mm-hmm.
just keyframe all the movements, and so that's how I would do it. Another thing that I do is, if it's a difficult concept, and I want to give people a head start, I'm like, I'm about to say something, and they need to have their bearing on where they are first. I will put it on screen and let them visually take it in and give people a half a beat to be like, what is this? And then I say, this right here's the whatever, and then.
That's a great impersonation of your internet voice.
Of myself, yeah.
Nailed
it. I don't know. I was imagining myself in a really loud industrial plant when I said that. If you look at the air bearing, and so I might flash the bearing on screen and be like, because there's that lizard brain thing, you're like, what is that? And you're like, it's an air bearing. And then you're like, oh, so it's visual question, instant answer. Visual question, instant answer. So it's a series of payoffs.
Or verbal question, visual answer.
Correct. How would you do this? Boom, answer.
Right.
So it's question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. That's how I do it.
Abram leaves his home in Ur of the Chaldeans and makes his way west. Map. Arrow moving.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody knows where Ur of the Chaldeans is, so then you just show it.
Yeah. The timing of that matters.
Yes.
Because you don't think it matters, but it really, really does. Say it again. Abram did what? Leaves his hand.
Well, at that point, it would have been Abram. Abram leaves his home in Ur of the Chaldeans and makes his way west.
Okay. In that case, makes his way west. So there's an idea that's going to follow that. I would not expect the map to stay up on screen for another 2 seconds. It would be makes his way west. And then when the T hits, then I might give it 3 or 4 frames. And then, boom, screen change.
Okay. And what I would do there is I would have a map of the ancient Near East. And I'd have Ur of the Chaldeans over here and a little picture of maybe Abram's face. And then he makes his way west and he starts tracking, you kind of bend up north to get around the desert when you travel in that part of the world. He starts tracking west, and then I would pull in on the next part of the story until he arrives
Yeah.
whoop, and then I would
That's
punch
even
in.
better.
And then maybe if I was covering the whole video, I would go to a picture of that place, like a nice big panoramic stock photo that you just use the credits on because I don't have access. I haven't been there. And you show this beautiful picture. Maybe I even put the name of it up there. This is where he went to. And
Visual storytelling.
visual storytelling. So
Yeah.
Here's the next thing. Here's the next thing.
I like the way you did that even better because he makes his way west. So in the same motion, you're moving west. Then you start pushing in. The natural visual question is, where is he going?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have to say it. The image did it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that way better.
So the AI can't do that. so it's just, yeah, there's nothing more to it, man. It's just bad.
Really?
And all of those satisfying timings that you talk about. I remember one time I edited a video where we were flying a drone in front of this
Into your face?
magnificent
That one?
cathedral. No, that video is still available
Yep.
for the patrons who are curious to see it.
That's great.
That happened. No, it wasn't that time at all. I was flying a drone that didn't hit anyone in the face. It was way up high. I was looking at the gargoyles on top of a Catholic cathedral. And we got Salt Lake City in the background. It's a beautiful shot. And there's a dove that flies through the shot
No way.
behind the bell tower. And then it comes out the other side of the bell tower. And in an early draft, I cut it before the dove made it to the edge of the screen.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, this was such a complex video. There were so many things in it. And I sent it to you. I was like, oh, take a look at this. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. Finally, I get a phone call. It's 1 a.m. Hey, go in there right now and let me see the end of that dove flying to the edge of the screen. Okay, I'll call you back if I have more. That's it. You didn't give me any other feedback on anything. It was just, I need to see the dove finish the flight.
It was the wrong. It was the wrong cut.
It was the wrong cut. You were right. I mean, that video did really well, and clearly it was because we
It
included
was because
full
of the dove.
flight.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. There are all these sensibilities that you have. I share a lot of them. I mean, every editor has their own taste, but there are all of these sensibilities that are kind of best practice, and they feel satisfying. Even if you don't edit video, your brain knows when a thing is edited right, and it's satisfying. Everything I wanted to see, every time I had a next question, whoever edited this and gave it to me. That's great. Have a like. Have a nice comment even. That was wonderful. But when it doesn't happen, it's so disorienting.
It's frustrating.
Frustrating.
For me, it's frustrating. It's like, why did you do that? When I make a music montage in Smarter Every Day and I have slow motion footage. So Gordon McGlattery writes the music for Smarter Every Day. His company's called A Shell in the Pit. He writes gorgeous music.
Super talented.
Very different. Like sometimes it sounds like a video game. Sometimes it sounds like acoustic guitar. I mean, he has a large quiver of arrows he can pull from at any one moment to give you a certain feel. And so when I'm doing slow-mo, I make sure to hit any changes on the beat. I'm thinking of one song he has in particular. Can I play it for you real quick?
Yeah, sure. It is very pentatonic. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he's got music like, so you slowly ramp this up, and then as this music comes in more, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to let it get more complicated visually. And then eventually, okay, mechanical thing happens now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. This is a build montage music. You know what this makes me think of?
What?
Smarter Every Day, the YouTube channel.
Yeah. In fact, this the name of this song is on the Smarter Every Day edit. So he makes edits of the videos specifically for Smarter Every Day. So this right here is where it gets really complicated. And we're going to hit it now. Sorry I waited too long.
Wow, it's like 8-bit Baroque.
Yeah, he does
Like
really
the
cool
order
stuff.
of the cosmos being conveyed
But
in the
on
intricacies.
on the
That's
deep
great.
deep hits of the music, if I ever have to change, I would change. And if there's a right here we have to shift down. No, you get the idea. So it's important to hit on the music and each different. So this is weird because you're better at music than me. Each movement of the music, I might change a scene, go back to real time footage to show me tightening a wrench on the thing that's about to do the thing. So I don't know. That's the kind of stuff I do.
Yeah, and it's great. You're a really good editor. And
George is too.
George
And
is a great editor.
you are too. Yeah.
My buddy Nate, who helps me out with some of my church visit video edits, He's wonderful. I mean, of the four of us, he's the only one who's won Emmys. Well, does George have Emmys? He might.
I don't know.
He's good. He's got quite the track record.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, Nate's real good. Yeah, so the not humanness of the AI decision making is really evident on a few of these attempts. And I think all of these attempts are a little bit human, a little bit AI, but the cuts just don't make sense. And so it's frustrating when you watch somebody else's video that is on YouTube just not do the things it ought to do. Like if you just put that there and put that there, it would make sense, but you didn't. It's really frustrating when you're watching a draft of your own material with your own voice. And so then what's happened in some of these rough edits that I've got back is clearly the editors or the editing AI software suites that they're trying to use, they don't recognize certain historical artifacts or details, and they just take a stab at it. And so in some of these edits, I'm getting these full AI panels, AI written panels that are just word salads at horrible writing, atrocious, overly busy.
What do you mean?
Just tortured language. So for example, now just understand too, I've sent 3 videos. One that is a bread and butter video, me sitting at my desk talking about history stuff in the Bible. Another that is a very typical video for me where I go and visit a church and I ask somebody to tell me about their understanding of religion and God and Christianity. And I ask questions and just listen and marvel at their church building. And then I sent out another video where it's just my voice talking about the book of Genesis. I'm comparing what I get back from different companies on all of these edits. On one of the edits I got back on this particular church visit video, it's a church that is all built in the style artistically of the Book of Kells. Have you heard of the Book of Kells?
It's something to do with Ireland?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Well,
or
Scotland and Ireland.
Okay, yeah.
It's held in Trinity College, the library, the one that you see in all the pictures when you picture the prettiest library in the world.
Okay.
That's Trinity College Library in Dublin. The Book of Kells is there. It was written around 800. Well, not really written, illustrated, because it's a copy of the 4 Gospels. I mean, when you picture Celtic, Irish, Scottish art.
A lot of knots.
Yeah.
A lot of knots and a lot of, yeah, that's all I got. Knots.
What color is it?
It's kind of a gold color in my head.
Okay, that kind of art.
Maybe some greenish
There
gold.
you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of green, a lot of gold. I
Yeah.
agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Woven, floral, foresty sort of patterns, that kind of thing. So there, people in the third chair can picture it. Well, this church, the dude who designed everything, the inlays on the floor and the stained glass and everything, he went to Dublin, got access to the Book of Kells in the 1800s, made all these little sketches in a notebook, brought it back and did all the art. This church is it's gorgeous. It's amazing. But a bunch of Germans moved into the neighborhood. The Irish were the outsiders in the 19th century when this church was built in Chicago. A bunch of Germans moved in because Hitler, you probably heard about him, the Austrian guy.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Mustache, screaming about everything.
Yeah.
Just a jerk.
Didn't like people.
No, didn't know. He's
Mhm.
the worst.
Yes.
And so he comes along, and a bunch of German people migrate to the Midwest, to Chicago. And probably a lot of those Germans who migrated were Protestants. Well, whatever the case, this formerly Irish neighborhood all of a sudden has a whole bunch of Germans. What does this church do? Well, let's be hospitable. We were the outsiders once. We were the first, the most recent round of immigrants. Now it's these guys. So they plaster over a bunch of this art because the Germans had a more austere sense of what worship should look like. It's too busy, too much.
They just plastered over it?
They plastered over all of it.
Wait, that doesn't sound like you're being nice to people. That sounds like I don't know.
Dude, I wasn't there. It was World War II.
That's what they told you.
That's what they told me.
Okay.
And so I'm going to choose to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
That they were clearly doing so to try to accommodate their Christian, albeit different Christian brothers and sisters who were in a very difficult time. I took it as a pretty neat story. And then in the 90s, times had changed again. They do a restoration on the church. And now all of this old St. Patrick's Church in downtown Chicago, now all of the Book of Kells-ness is on display. It's just beautiful. So I had a few different editors take a run at this thing. And one of the editors relied heavily on AI for the writing, not even Google searches, I don't think. I'm just guessing. You're not allowed to talk to the editors when you use these companies.
Oh, okay. Are they people in the same country? Like, are these people in America?
No, I'm almost 100% sure they are not.
Okay.
I think they are using AI to look like I think they're entering something and saying, but now frame that in a natural Midwestern American style. Because you notice some of the AI blemishes even in the written communication back and forth between editor and myself.
Really?
I think so.
So,
And
so
I
you think
get it.
these people are native English speakers?
Yeah. Maybe as a second language. I
Okay.
mean, they're all obviously incredibly competent people, but they're clearly working from overseas, and that's what makes the economics of it probably work. I don't know. You're not allowed to know what the economics of it are or how it works at all. Maybe it's a dubious, problematic arrangement. I don't know. What I do know is everybody I worked with is really talented at all of these different companies, even if they don't know the material. And why would I expect them to know this material? It's very obscure. But they would run into things clearly in the editorial decision-making process and be like, all right, AI, bail me out. Write me a thing about the Book of Kells. But here's the thing, man. In the last year of the evolution of AI and the integration of AI, there are a lot of people who I've read who are making compelling cases that the writing side of it, at least, is getting worse.
Yes, I've heard this.
What have you heard about it?
It just seems like in the early days, it was learning off good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is it, but now the things that are being input into the model are trash, and so you're getting trash out. So it's almost like when you remember back in the day we had Xerox machines, copiers, photocopiers?
Yeah, you make a photocopy of your butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
No. When you get a photocopy of a photocopy, you'd be like, oh, it brought over the blemishes from the blemishes, and then and you could keep doing that over and over and over, and eventually the worksheet your teacher would hand you would be like, what is up with it? I'm sorry, I can't read this number.
Yeah, have all the little artifacts and flecks and...
Yeah, I wonder if it's something like that.
I don't understand how it works well enough at all. I mean, I'm tinkering with it as an end user. I mean, I'm tinkering with it as an
Holy cow, you just made me think something, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go for it.
That means we're going to have to start seeding. Like, you're going to be able to make money with the seed for a language model. Like, hey, here is you got a good, clean foundation for a language model, you know? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be...
your trench coat?
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the name of the game is going to be infect other people's AI.
Right.
Scary.
And so even if we think of, say, a YouTube channel's algorithm as being a little bit AI-ish, I mean, it's machine learning. We've talked before, and we've looked at hard empirical data to suggest this video or this channel is stuck. The AI is fixed. It doesn't know what to do with this particular product. And we've both talked with people who have arrived at that place of being AI stuck or algorithmically fixed.
Overfitted.
Overfitted. Thank you. I knew there was another term. And they go and launch something else with the same talent, the same material. They're still the same person, and it works. The algorithm likes it, and it goes. So we know that overfitting happens, and it looks like it's happening in particularly the language models, the chat bots, over the course of the last year. It's been overused with bad prompts, and now it's learning off of itself. So it's learning off of garbage it has written.
It's its own echo chamber?
There you go. That's what I think is happening.
Really?
I think you are reading stuff written by AI so much more than you realize. And the more that happens, the more that increases the percentage of material that the AI is gleaning from that is also AI. It's putting a second and a third and fourth layer between actual human minds writing things and what we are modeling from with our AI assistants.
One being the least amount, 10 being the maximum amount. What level of candor do you think makes sense for this little spot where we talk about the fact that there isn't an ad on this episode?
Hold on, your scale, was it, I don't know, like from 0 to 1, that's not in the scale?
What? Well, 0 to 1 would be like, we just don't admit that there's no ad on this episode.
Oh, okay.
And we just hope nobody heard me just say that.
Oh. Let's go 10. Let's go 10.
Okay, 10 it is.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, there's no ad, which means this one is fully brought to you by the handful of people who support this program, to whom we are super, super grateful.
Yeah. Patreon is becoming increasingly more important for No Dumb Questions, and I am also grateful. So I think it's time to do something for the patrons again.
Well, I think so too. And I've been cooking up ideas because it's not just No Dumb Questions. I mean, the whole economy of everything is making it such that Patreon is kind of the way. It's the most important thing for pretty much everybody who makes stuff on the internet. And so, yeah, I've been thinking the same stuff that
The
reason
reason
I got to start this again. I absolutely hate talking about things like this, dude.
Yeah?
It cripples me. It's so easy and so natural for you, and it just cripples me. I don't.
well,
I don't know.
let's just keep going.
Oh my goodness! Come on.
It's just the way it is, right? So I think the reasons behind all this could fill a whole episode. I think it has a lot to do with inflation, which has a lot to do with printing money, which has a lot to do with all the things.
Yes.
And so that affects marketing
Yes.
budgets, and yeah, that's just where it's at. So
Yeah, and it's okay. Also,
yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
it's okay that economies ebb and flow and things like that. It's just part of reality. But the most meaningful bedrock thing in terms of how something like this happens is the people who like it the most kicking in on it.
That's the way it works. Yeah, I also want to do an episode on the Medici family. I think that'd be cool and their
Whoa.
patronage. Yeah, not now.
I mean, that's a hard pivot right there. Well, do you just want to run it right now? We could just keep going.
no,
It could just be like a little bonus 90-minute episode inside of this other episode.
No, I don't. But the fact that they
Why do you want to talk about the Medicis? What's happening to you?
well, the fact that they were patrons of the arts and stuff like that, I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you did.
I'm grateful for the patrons. It makes No Dumb Questions possible. It pays us. It pays Tina, and I'm grateful. And I think we should send stickers out.
I would like to send stickers out. It's time. I really like what you're doing on Smarter Every Day and what secretly I'm starting to do on 10-Minute Bible Hour. But what you thought of first, credit where it's due, on Smarter Every Day, you're doing like commemorative collector's stickers that you can only get when that round of stickers goes out. And that's it. That's this year's boom. That's the commemorative sticker. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, the way I say it on Smarter Every Day is I'd like to thank the patrons for sticking with me. So you're part of the sticker team, and so you get the sticker for that year for sticking with me. And I'm down to do it on No Dumb Questions. I think that'd be amazing. And so I've got an idea for a sticker. I think we should do it.
Are you going to say what it is?
No, why would we do that?
Oh.
Why would we say?
I
it?
don't know. I don't know. I told you this isn't easy for me. I don't know. Like it's harder to. It's not the easiest conversation in the world to talk about, like the Patreon thing and the advertising thing and all of that stuff. It just feels kind of behind the curtain a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, strategically that'd be a terrible idea. We wouldn't want to tell people what the sticker is. Wait, why wouldn't we want to tell people what the sticker is? I don't get it.
Because I don't know what it is yet, Matt.
Okay, thank you for your
I
honesty.
don't know what it is yet, Matt.
That's kind of what I thought. It's like I don't remember us deciding what the sticker would be.
The first time we did the winged
feeling
hussar,
really dumb.
first time we did
Yep.
the winged hussar, I think we should do something really cool. In fact, we could ask the patrons. So if you're a patron, just go there on this episode and let's talk about what the sticker should be for this year's sticker club. I think it'd be fun.
Okay, so what do you think? Something commemorative of something we talked about this year? I mean, obviously there are things from sort of each year of the podcast that we really got into this topic or that topic, or we had a good laugh about this thing or that thing, and people who've listened to all the episodes, maybe they
Oh, dude,
remember
we
some
could
of
do
those
a
that stand
Fool's
out.
Errand sticker. We could do something
An electric hammer?
electric hammer or like plaid paint or there's got to be a good idea for something out there. That's a really interesting idea. We could do several things. We've talked about all kinds of stuff this year.
Yeah, it needs to be this year. And so then we send it out, and it's like, thanks for supporting this last year when we talked about the thing. And if you weren't supporting this last year, then you don't get that sticker, but you can get next year's sticker.
Yep,
When
but
we
it's an evergreen
Make it about
sticker.
something that we talk about next year.
Like it's a sticker that works all the time. We don't put the year on it, but it's only like a limited run. That's how we do it on Smarter Every Day. I think it'd be awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. I like that a lot. And yeah, it is time to send something out. I mean, that's always kind of been the model is just hear something fun from time to time and thank you, and it's a goodwill engine. And yeah, more than ever, that's what Patreon is. It's a goodwill engine, thick and thin. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, it is. So if you want to support, you can go to patreon.com/nodumbquestions, and you will, like, if you're a supporter at the end of the year, you will get the sticker. Let's do it that way, right?
I like that a lot. Yep, those are good ground rules, but we should probably go make that sticker.
We
But you got to tell us what the sticker needs to be first. So it's not our fault. The ball's in your court, y'all. You got to tell us what the sticker is supposed to be. Oh, we're off the hook. Look at that.
Thank you for your support. Obviously, it means a lot, especially right now. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed.
Is that good?
I think it's good.
All right. Shall we close file?
Let's close file. Closing. 3, 2, 1. Close.
I wonder what the first word to enter the English language that was not invented by a human mind will be.
Scrotulate. It's just a guess.
Excellent choice of prefixes, my friend. Scrotulate. Yeah, that was your brain. That was definitely your brain.
Yeah, you
that
got
was
me again.
Definitely your
Second
brain.
time in one episode.
Yes.
Rats.
No, but I think it's going to happen. I think there will be something that authentically happens in our culture that did not have a human brain origin. It was a derivative product. Just don't know when that's going to happen, but it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, I can tell you this. What the AI churned out on my videos in terms of the written sections was an absolute dumpster fire.
Well, you also are dealing with matters of religion, faith,
Mhm.
Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it do on the doctrine?
Terribly.
Oh,
It wasn't.
what was the most heretical thing it did?
It's not even so much that it's heretical. It's just a mishmash of a whole bunch of incompatible ideas. And so, if you don't think hard about it, just here's a Christian religious sounding phrase and here's a Muslim one. I mean, they both more or less sort of acknowledge a God thing. And there's some Mormon assumptions over here. And here's a phrase from Hinduism. And really, there might be truth in all of those particular phrases. There might be beauty in all of those phrases. But if you really look carefully at all of the words and meanings behind all of those phrases, you realize there's some mutually incompatible belief systems being crammed into one thing here, and it just doesn't work. So it would be like if you saw something from your field that was just a bunch of engineering drivel,
Yes.
just a bunch of engineering
do see
slop
this.
flung together into a paragraph.
You know where I see this?
Tell me.
I see this on videos, not just modern ones that have been created by AI. I've seen footage on the internet that I filmed with my hands that is being talked about by this other person on this other channel.
Yes.
And I'm listening to them articulate and speculate about what's going on and say it with authority. And I was physically there when it was filmed. And I know it's horse pucky. And I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, this is a lie. And I look down at the view count, and I say, holy moly. And I look at the channel, and I'll be like, this channel has a lot of viewers, and they're propagating misinformation right now. And they're doing it as if it's true. And I've thought to myself, you're an unethical person.
Wow, what a gentle thing to think, given the circumstances.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen other things where it's a field that I know a lot about, and I've seen something spoken with authority, even with an animation, and it was not correct. And I look at the subscriber count, and I look at the views, and I'm like, wow, this is just the thing I know about.
Mhm.
What are you doing with the things I don't know about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my field, a lot of times when people are like, hey, that was wrong, what they mean is, I don't hold that theological opinion on that issue. But it's not 1 or 0 wrong. It just isn't. I mean, that's just like, that's your read, that's your opinion. But where it can be wrong is if, let's say, we are talking about a Presbyterian set of assumptions. That's a certain brand of historic Christianity, Presbyterians. And they have a certain way of governing themselves. If we went and we were talking about what the Presbyterians think, and we talked about a Catholic form of governance, well, then that would be wrong, because that isn't what the Presbyterians think, and it's incompatible with all of their other assumptions about how church ought to be. It doesn't mean it's universally wrong in like the grand ethical, biblical, what mind of God kind of sense. It's just you're trying to take something that's incompatible with a system and pretend like it fits in that system. Well, it doesn't. It's wrong when you put it there. that can't work. It's taxonomically wrong, if that makes sense.
Taxonomically, what does that mean?
Like in terms of organizing and ordering and categorizing things.
Okay.
It doesn't fit with that
I see.
category. That's the kind of stuff that the AI kept getting wrong on these edits. It would say things that are Christian from a different expression of Christianity, or maybe we're Muslim but sort of sound Christian, Muslim in their assumptions, and try to make it fit with something Catholic.
So the same feeling I get when I read a phishing attempt email, where it's like, you're
Yeah.
saying all the right words, but there's something off. I don't know what this is. Did it even get that close, or was it
I don't think it got quite that close.
really?
There's one moment where I'm looking at the stained glass ceiling depicting the 4 authors of the Book of Kells. They're symbols for Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 biblical authors of the stories of Jesus, the Gospels. And it depicts their 4 symbols. It's beautiful stained glass, just magnificent. And I'm looking at it, and the AI editing cuts to a panel that describes, I have no idea what. It doesn't make any sense. It shows a picture of something. We were just looking at it. We don't need to cut to a picture. It shows a picture of something that makes no sense from another document that isn't in any way related to the Book of Kells. And then it goes on to describe what's happening in this document with just tortured language, no context. No, here's an image of it just Kool-Aid Man's through the wall. Here's an eagle. The eagle has a hook. There's a man with a beard pulling on the hook and wait, what? What the
so
heck
they
is
put
happening?
this weird Celtic image through an AI
Yes.
interpretive. I don't know. Can you put an image in AI and it will tell you what it is? Is that a thing you can do?
I don't know
Okay.
what is going on with the things I hired. I have no idea. I wanted to see what would happen if I gave it this input.
You showed me a couple of things and it looked like some, I don't know. The short thing you showed me, some of it looked okay. Some of it looked like some kind of Caterpillar Alice in Wonderland drug trip or something.
Okay, that's fair.
What I imagine drugs to feel like.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. So what are you going to do with this?
Oh,
Did you waste your money?
no, certainly not. I'm learning ways not to do it. So I'm starting at the lowest hanging fruit. Okay, well, what happens if we just hire an affordable editing company that you can just Google editing company, edit my videos? Can they do this? No, they can't come close to doing it. That won't work. All right, well, what happens if I hire some different
They
individuals?
can't because of money? Or why can't an editing company edit the videos?
Because they don't know the material.
I see.
It's not fair to ask somebody for whatever amount of money they charge to go and learn all of the intricate details of the desert wandering and the book of Deuteronomy and the beginning of the conquest of Canaan at the beginning of the book of Judges to make a 10-minute video. That's not fair. They're just not conversant. So the amount of time it takes them to vet an image or a painting or, okay, what archaeological site is this? Is it tell this or is it tell that? And so the mistakes that have been made in these edits, they're innocent.
So
They
what's
just demonstrate a lack of knowledge of the material.
the process? Do you say, hey, that right there is I don't know, that's a ball of fire. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
Well, I can fill in your question.
Okay.
So, for example, I worked on a video about Susa, one that ultimately I ended up kind of landing the plane on and getting to where it needed to be. But it was fun. I had
That's
lots
a
of different
city,
people
right?
take a run at this ancient Persian capital of Susa.
I'm sorry, I haven't watched the video yet.
You're just fine. Yeah,
Okay.
you're good. And yeah, I got different things back stylistically from different editors I put it in front of. And I've already published the video and it turned out, I think, fine. It's informative. It works. But the returns that were happening from search engines and from the AI were just anachronistic and incorrect. So, for example, I make a remark at one point where I say, Xerxes, sitting upon his throne in the palace at Susa, thought to himself, and the image that comes up is like a clip art of Xerxes sitting upon a portable throne overlooking the Battle of Salamis in Greece.
Close.
Close.
When he's thinking, did like the statue of Rodin come up, the thinker?
See, that's the kind of stuff that you get.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the kind of stuff it does. It's every low-hanging visual joke, not even joke, just association.
So what's the feedback loop? Okay, clearly it's wrong. What do you do to correct it?
Oh, yeah. So anyways, I've been using a program called Frame.io, Frame.io, And the interface is a lot like Adobe Premiere, which is what you and I edit in. And I just go through, and everywhere that something's wrong, I have to type a note. I can't go through it verbally with these editors because you're not allowed to talk with the editors ever. No email, no Zoom calls. You can't know their name. You just get a first name that may or may not be true, a picture that may or may not be them, and everything is fed through a communication channel with the American-based project manager. Clearly, they don't want their talent getting poached. I don't blame them for that, but it makes getting good edits super hard because you can't actually communicate. So then I would mark the error on the picture of Xerxes and be like, hey, this is great. This is definitely King Xerxes, but he's in Greece here, and that's the wrong part of the planet. You know, we need a different shot. And then ultimately, I'd go into my archives because I have an ever-growing database of pictures I've taken in my travels, and I would grab the really cool relief of Xerxes from another old Persian capital, Persepolis, and be like, let's just use this one. Well, now I just did that work.
I see.
And eventually, I'm sending back edits on a 12-minute video that have 120 notes.
So why don't you just make the video yourself?
And there you have it. Why don't I just make the video myself? And that's what I found on all of these. The time equation has immediately been upside down, even with AI helps on the part of these hired editors. The time equation, I mean, it's a 5-to-1 ratio that it would have been better if I'd done it myself, and it's free if I do it myself.
But you learned.
Yes.
And you know where it's at. And
yes.
And it's important to know. I mean, you're doing the Thomas Edison thing. I made 1,000 things that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have another tool in your toolbox. And so maybe in the future, you're like, hey, I have this simple thing. I just need to cover the screen with XYZ. And then maybe it'll give you a good first cut.
Yeah.
And then you can go in there and it'll give you ideas or something like that. Do you mind me asking how much does this cost for a single, like, first pass edit? Do you pay for a first pass of an edit?
I've paid a variety of amounts because I wanted to figure out what does what by me. And it's been painful. I intentionally set aside a budget for this. The budget hurts, but I'm trying to solve a bigger equation than just get a couple videos published. I've got an idea. I have a mission. I have a plan for what I want to accomplish with my YouTube channel moving forward. And that was kind of a question mark for a while because the podcast sort of took over everything I was doing. And that's great. I mean, it's great. It's so much fun. I'm glad people like it. I like making it. But now this YouTube channel, finally, I'm like, all right, I know what I'm doing. I know what needs to happen next. But I want to build out a whole system for how I do it before I tear off in this direction. So I set money aside. Probably the least I paid for an edit was $300.
Wow.
Which hurt.
Yes, $300 is a lot of money. But in terms of sitting down and editing,
right,
that's a lot of hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you super know the material,
in
which case it's, oh, well, the right picture here is this. The right picture here is
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
But nobody knows that material.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody studies that. The most I paid for an edit was $1,500.
You're going out into unknown territory and you're actually taking stock of the situation.
Yeah.
So this was a huge investment.
Yeah, and I've been able to publish almost nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and next to what I have published, I had to do the work on, ultimately.
Interesting.
I mean,
do you
I've
get
paid
project
people to make
files
thumbnails,
back?
And they still have not provided me with those. I have asked. I haven't been given those. So it makes it really hard to go and fix their last few mistakes.
Wow.
It's just a bad workflow. What that kind of stuff is for is lowbrow, simplistic, faceless, automated, crass, let's just try to get some money out of YouTube audience building channels where you make a YouTube farm.
It's for
and
bot
you make
farms.
15 channels. Amazing things from the internet today. This amazing thing happened on the internet today.
Yeah.
This man thought he could catch the cat, but he couldn't. This man had to unclog the drain. He did.
Interesting. That's reassuring, actually.
Uh-huh.
Like, this actually makes me feel good.
Uh-huh.
Because it makes it, not that it's hard to do what we do, but it makes me feel good that, for example, my friends who might be older and watching more things when they swipe on their phone, they won't be tricked. It's harder to make inauthentic material than I thought.
Yes.
I thought you'd be able to plug in words to a major politician's mouth and have him or her say something crazy and have it pass as, I mean, I know this can be done.
It can be done.
I thought it would be far easier than this, or like, narrating something. So I don't know. It's reassuring that it's not like plop plop fizz fizz. It's far more hands on.
This is where I'd say it's at right now. And this isn't a very evergreen observation because we know it'll be different in 6 months. But right now, I think AI language modeling is getting really bad, really predictable, and people can smell it. It feels sterile and trite and safe and institutional. Even when it tries to sound human and friendly and colloquial, it still sounds it's just a stink on AI writing. I think it's bad, and I wouldn't be too worried about that replacing anybody's jobs right now.
Makes the value of authenticity go up.
It does.
Yeah.
I think that AI video looks like total garbage right now. There's a show that came out a while back called Secret Invasion, another one of these Disney Plus utter flops, just total failure. I think that show went so badly, they're going to reevaluate their whole Star Wars streaming. I mean, it was awful. But their opening was entirely generated by AI, and it's horrid. It feels completely inhuman and like a mockery of a human making art. It's bad. However, I will say that AI stable visual art, it's really getting somewhere.
What do you mean, like a single image?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting somewhere. It's the tells and the things that used to give it away. As we get into these new versions of Midjourney in particular is what everybody's using. It's getting good. I mean, you can go in and specifically circle and edit things you didn't like in app now. So if everything's
do you
perfect,
pay for Midjourney? I've never used it.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's $80, $80 a month. So I'm not going
Whoa.
to pay for it forever, but I'm using it really hard right now. I'm trying to build out something that I'm going to use in a whole series of videos that are coming up. And there's just a few pieces of specific art, avatars, characters that I'm trying to build. So I'm really deep into the Midjourney world, learning how to seed it with images so that rather than just randomly generating characters that don't look the same, I want the same character from image to image to image. I'm using Adobe's generative AI to select that, separate it from the background, make any final augmentations. And so I'm using AI a lot right now for image art and photo images. And I'm even figuring out how to use AI tools to improve like garbage old photos of Nineveh before ISIS destroyed it. Like the pictures just aren't any good that we have of Nineveh because people took pictures on potatoes of this thing when it emerged from the sand. And then ISIS came along and it never got photographed well, even though it was out of the dirt during the age of photography. Well, there are ways to recapture that and reestablish it and make it look like people took great photos of it. And so I've been working on things like that for future videos as well. I think that's trending in a really impressive direction in terms of what it
that
can
also
do.
bothers me about the SR-71 Blackbird. So, you know the Blackbird, the coolest airplane ever.
Yeah, the Cobra Night Raven.
Yeah. The thing about the Blackbird is we had this period where we went from film to digital, and the first few years of digital were just trash.
Oh, yeah.
Hot trash. DV,
Mm-hmm.
like progressive. What was the scan where it interlaced? That was it. Interlaced videos. Like, why are we doing this? A lot of that was when the SR-71 was flying, and so we didn't have really, really, really good stuff from there. Some of the best stuff is old film photos from there. So anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to lament that for a second.
No, I mean, but you're on the same page. You went right to a perfectly logical place. In your field, that's something that just because of the unfolding of history, we just don't have a good look at. Same thing for me with Nineveh, for example. So I think there's a ton of potential in all of this. It's just...
I needed this, by the way.
Okay.
I needed to understand, because the last time we talked about AI, I was like, it's coming for us. I hate this. But this is actually encouraging.
Okay.
It's encouraging that people can sniff it out. It's encouraging. So got it. Still photos. Need to be careful what I'm looking at. However, the video stuff and the writing stuff, that's really, really good because it lets me know that people aren't going to be fooled quite to the degree that I thought. And so this is encouraging. And I appreciate the little, I don't know what you want to call this trek into the unknown that you've done at your great expense with money to figure this out because it's, I feel really good about it. So thanks.
I'm feeling better about where it's at too. I like that the writing is failing. I like that the visual images are getting better and more controllable because I'm seeing how it will advance knowledge instead of destroy the concept of truth and knowledge. I'm excited about where these iterations are headed. And I'm also excited about what it means for creativity and what people do. I think there's going to be more interest than ever in actual human effort that goes into making something beautiful, composing music, trying to understand a thing and understand it so well that you can spread it on the mental desk in front of you and draw connections between disparate things to find meaning. Knowledge is great. Everybody loves it. But meaning is what we seem to be wired for. What does it mean? Why is it like this? What is the underlying truth of these physical realities, these metaphysical realities that we encounter in life? And that's where the human thing happens. And I think there's going to be more hunger than that than ever as cheap AI things do the busy work of creativity. Those who can still spread a series of disparate things out on the table and make the connections. I think there's job security in that. And I think there's beauty in that. And
When's the last time you watched Inception, the movie?
3 weeks ago.
Really? That's about how long it's been since I watched it.
Yeah, we watched it ahead of Oppenheimer.
So you know the point in the movie where they had a totem, and the totem was the thing that would tell you if you were in the real world or in a dream?
Yes.
It's like AI doesn't have the ability to cross that boundary and that threshold. There's always something there that lets us know that it's authentically human. And that thing that you're talking about, that metaphysical place that the human mind occupies, I said a big word. I don't even know what metaphysical means. But that place that the human mind occupies, it's like AI hasn't figured out how to cross that completely yet. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah. I think it takes a soul. I don't think it's getting there. I think the greater fear for me is not that it will cross the line and become indistinguishable from humans. It is that the majority of humanity will regress back the other way across the line and therefore become indistinguishable from AI.
So more Brave New World, less Orwell. Or it's the book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, Neil Postman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's another conversation.
It is. Bottom line on this, I eliminated a whole bunch of options for how I want to do this next big series of videos on my channel. And now I'm going deeper down the well with different strategies for working with humans. Is it more important to have a great editor who I can teach things about ancient history? Or is it more important to have a great ancient historian who I can teach things about editing? It's kind of the Armageddon question. Do you want the astronaut or do you want the explosive minor expert to deal with the asteroid?
I love it. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.